Bari Weiss, for the audience, is respected former New York Times editor.
Yeah.
But the New York Times went so left, she starts to look moderate. People, Bari Weiss is a progressive.
Yes.
She is not a conservative. She is not an ideological person who sees life as we do. However, she is the dying breed. She is one of the last of the moderate leftists, especially when it comes to news journalism. So on that,
Yes.
does this look political? Weissmeister is doing?
You know what? Scott Pelley came out basically verbatim and said that now Bari Weiss is trying to show Trump's side of things more. She is basically being controlled and needing to show this one point of view. They've been so balanced and fair this whole time. Now someone's coming in basically with Trump propaganda and then infusing that into the way they do stories.
Oh, yeah, well, that's his whole shtick.
That was his accusation. That was his accusation.
If Pelley were just making this up, which many of us believe, would CBS just be scrambling this hard to control the narrative? I think he who controls the narrative is he who wins the war. So I think CBS coming out with their side is perfectly acceptable. But some people are saying, well, if it wasn't true, why CBS defending itself so defiantly?
I think he believes what he's saying. Doesn't that...
Well, you can believe what you're saying and still be lying. Well, I mean, Hitler thought he was of the superior race. He believed that.
True. Okay. But I don't think it's delusional in that way. I think he feels they've come in and they're trying to change something that he values, believes in, and he is self-important and believes that the show is extremely important and has had this very important history. He's trying to protect that in some ways. I actually think the show is very important. It's been an iconic staple of news journalism for such a very long time, so I don't disagree with him on that point.
Oh, let me do a follow-up here real quick on that point.
Sure.
So, back in the day, 30 million viewers every week, especially after football, 30, 40 million viewers.
I think Hewitt was the executive producer back in the day.
It doesn't matter who was. It's when they still believed in journalism. One of the episodes I will never forget, the classic, they go undercover to the auto parts with a perfect car to the mechanic. It's always a redneck. Well there, buddy, my name's Bubba. I'll take care of you. You need a new carburetor. And boom, busted. What's ironic is, in today's world, they now view that as not journalism. Why? Well, James O'Keefe does that very well. But that's not journalism. But when they did it, but my point is, that's when they were iconic, when they did stuff like that. But since then, over the last 20 years, they lose 50% of their audience after the NFL season. It's just gone. So they'll get 16 million viewers after the NFL season. That's down to single digits. We are in a country of 350 million people, 380 million when you count illegals. My point is, 8,350,000 to 60 million people. They are no longer iconic. They are living off their past success, off their reputation. If anything, they are diminishing that reputation.
Okay, I agree with you that the brand was diminishing. They were the cornerstone at one point. They were the gold standard as well. Other news journalism wanted to match their integrity. And look at the days of Mike Wallace. So I'm always I have a little bit of a bias here where I'm going to defend 60 Minutes for some of the people that I have known over the years that I so admire and believe care deeply about getting stories right. I really believe some of those people, it's not everybody. That's not to say that the show wasn't in a transition or even a downward spiral. I thought it was interesting that Scott Pelley argued that Tanya Simon had brought up the numbers. I did not know that. That was news to me. Because if anything...
Yeah, and that's cyclical. Trump's in power now.
Yeah. If anything, it had fallen off my radar. For me, personally, it had fallen off my radar a little bit, and it had lost some of its journalistic integrity. So I was not the viewer that I used to be.
Right. So my question to you is, did you work with any of these people?
I know them personally, some of them.
Okay. So knowing somebody and working with them is apples and oranges. I used to tell people, you want to work for me, the person you're talking to, the person you're joking with, the person you got to have drinks, you have dinner, you go to conventions. That's not me in the office. I'm a different person
Correct.
in the office. I will drive you to be the best you can to the point you hate me. I don't purposely do that, but that's the effect I tend to have because I want things done right. And my point to you isn't to denigrate you. Please forgive me. I'm not saying that. But knowing somebody who's nice versus working with them, you don't really know how they work. In the military, I used to tell a lot of the people working right under me or who were my peers, the same rank, I go, bro, yeah, I can have a beer with you, but you suck as a coworker. I'd never work with you if I had my choice. They were stunned when I would say that. I just had it with their laziness, trying to skate. In the military, you can do that a lot. You do it easily. So I just want to bring that to the point is, and I don't want you to conflate the two because Scott Pelley, very dignified. Very. I told you I was on a boat with a billionaire because I was invited. That guy's super nice, but I'm sure he would throw me under the bus in a heartbeat to get whatever he wanted. That's all I'm trying to say.
No, and you're right. And I think that to the point, I'd met him socially in a very, very, what is that, acquaintance type of way. I'm not speaking for him in terms of his own integrity. Obviously, he comes off as very self-important, and that's not a quality that I really admire in individuals. I'm saying other people that I've over the years maybe known in that industry and at that show, I did find that personal integrity, and I do think that transfers into the workplace as well.
I think the workplace takes a culture. You start hiring like-minded. The people who aren't like-minded stay quiet until they get fed up and then they move on. And I think that's what has happened with 60 Minutes. That's why it's dead in the water. That's why its ratings aren't really growing. Why they lose 50% of their ratings is because people turn the channel because they can tell, damn, he's pretty hard on Trump. Man, he was really nice to Obama. What's that, knee pads with Obama?
Well,
Hey, everybody, this is William Del Pilar, founder of Grumblings Media, and I want to say thank you for watching our content. If you want to support our all-volunteer efforts at Grumblings Media, smash the subscribe button right here. 100% free, and please consume and share our great content. Click either one of these two boxes for more of our work.